and I'm curious how you've done this because we've both done two completely separate things as far as utilizing a unit for your office supplies or equipment. So when you're doing your due diligence, that's one of the things you want to look for. So where are we going to be able to put our internet if you need an internet? Now, generally, this is at least what I thought, but you have more experience than I do with this. I'm kind of curious as far as how far away your unit was, because for those who don't know, John uses a unit to store his equipment, internet. He puts all that stuff in one of his storage units. I use a NEMA enclosure, which is a box that gets attached to the side of the building so that you don't have to utilize a unit. And so within that box, I have the cloud note, the internet, all of that electrical equipment. But John, when you utilize a unit, how far away does that unit have to be from the gate? Does it have to be fairly close because the gate's running off of that as well?
Yeah, the closer the better.
Mm-hmm.
So my first facility, what was it? I think the unit that I wanted to use, just a 5x10, that was closest to where I was putting the gate. And where the electrical panel or where the feed was coming in at. So I moved the electrical panel in there too. A lady was occupying the unit.
Yeah.
So I called her and said, hey, I'll move your stuff if you want, which mistake number one, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
But I did
Glad
move
you
her
said
stuff. Yeah, I moved her stuff and it wasn't much. It literally took me 20 minutes, but moved her stuff to another unit. And I think I gave her a free month too, just because I was a new owner and didn't know any better. But yeah, now my mechanical room is right by my gate. Electrical panels in there. My camera system's in there. Yeah, I'm losing out on some money. And I've got bigger units at other locations. I've got some 10x10s that are being used up too. But you know, at the end of the day, I'd rather be in there than everything be outside. You know, yours is in what, South Carolina?
Yep.
Mine are in Ohio. It's a little bit, the winters are pretty harsh up here, so I'd rather have it in a unit.
Yeah, because you're probably also storing, besides the internet and utilities, like things like shovels or salt, things of that nature, probably.
Yep, absolutely. Brooms, extra locks, combination lock. We put combination locks on our vacant units, all that stuff. So yeah, it's just made it easier. Could we move everything outside and make an extra 50 to 75 bucks a month? Yeah, but in the long run, it hasn't shown to be worth it for me.
Gotcha. And you touched on a really good point when you called that renter to see if you could move their stuff. So when I was doing my due diligence, I was kind of looking at that same thing. Hey, which unit can we use for office space or utility room? And the first 3 units were occupied, and so that would create quite a stretch running the wires for the internet and for the gate. And so we kind of opted into doing the NEMA enclosure, but also because I'm in South Carolina, I don't have to worry about winters, or I don't really need a whole bunch of tools or equipment on site. So I opened up the first unit, and this was a mistake. So I opened up the first unit to see what was inside, to see, hey, if this unit's entirely full, the chances of them wanting to move it probably isn't too good. But if it's just a couple things, or hey, maybe it's not even being occupied, because I've had that happen where we think a unit's being rented and turns out they actually moved out and they just put the lock back on it. So I was kind of interested to see what I would find inside if we could utilize that unit. And it was full. And so I reached out to that tenant to see if, hey, would you be willing to relocate your stuff? We would be willing to give you a month's rent. So I did that. And the smart thing about what I did, but again, I don't encourage anybody to do this, and John probably will agree with it, but I did have I did take photos of what was inside the unit. So a few months later, that tenant called us saying that that there were some items stolen from her unit. She was saying that, I went in there and may have taken some stuff. Now I had proof to prove that that nothing was stolen. She said there was a furniture set, a bedroom set that got stolen, and that didn't even exist within the unit itself. But the point at which I'm trying to make is you really never know who you're dealing with. You could run into that issue. So definitely don't want to open up someone's unit if you don't have to. You don't want to go inside the unit. But yeah, you kind of had me thinking about this when we're talking about what unit you could utilize for your equipment. That's one of the things that you want to keep an eye on when you do go down for your due diligence, just to see, hey, where would we be able to put our equipment? If that's not possible, a NEMA enclosure is also a suitable option.